Hello, closers, appointment setters, people that are looking to get into remote sales. In this video, we're going to talk about equipment, what equipment you need, why you need it. Everything is going to be covered in this short, quick explanation video, starting off with why you need proper equipment. It's not enough to just have a basic laptop, open it up, be on your couch, taking sales calls, and everything's peachy, good to go. Yes, some people make it work. Yes, for some offers, it'll be fine. But especially if you're trying to land that first or just land a role in general, what business owners want to see is that you have a professional environment, some kind of setup where you are representing that business well and have a place where you can take calls from that looks somewhat like an office. And the reason why is because, especially if you're selling B2B, you're going to be speaking to other business professionals. You're going to be speaking to entrepreneurs. You're going to be selling services that are supposed to help them either make more money, scale their business, solve a big problem, or all of the above. And when you're advising people, they want to see that the person that's giving them advice is somewhat successful or has achieved the thing they want to achieve, doesn't struggle in the thing that they're looking for help in, and is just taking their role seriously. And if I'm just taking my calls on a couch, in my bed, or in some kind of dinky looking, wall in the background is destroyed type area, blurry camera, microphone qualities chipping in and out, that not only speaks to me and how successful I am in this role, that speaks to the company and how well that company is performing. If that company is really good at what they do, that means they would probably be making sales and helping people and getting referrals, which means they could afford to have team members that, again, are able to present themselves well. And the same thing, if I'm a good sales professional doing well in my role, I would be able to afford the proper, basic things like a good camera, a good microphone. I would have a dedicated location for where I take calls if I'm someone who's, does this professionally and I take my role seriously. It's like you wouldn't think that someone is good at something that they don't even have the proper equipment to perform in that role, right? At the end of the day, if you're a remote sales professional and you're showing up with a blurry camera, a chippy microphone, your Wi-Fi isn't the greatest, you're cutting in and out, it's just going to showcase that you're not someone who either is very good at their role or takes it very seriously. And no prospect is going to want to buy from someone like that. No prospect is going to trust a company that has reps like that. And as a byproduct of that, no company wants to hire reps like that as well. So, and the reason why I feel like I need to make this video is because I've had people come to me or tell me they've spent thousands of dollars on programs and then try to do interviews or land roles or just perform on roles from their iPhone without even a laptop. And it's like the money is better spent on getting proper equipment than it was on that $5,000 or $10,000 program, right? So I'm just going to give you the basics here. What you need to perform well in the role, or at least showcase yourself well in the role, is a dedicated camera. It's not enough to just use the webcam on your phone or on your computer that's built in. Most of the time, the resolution's not the greatest. So you want to have something crisp, something clean. You don't have to go for the most expensive, like couple $100 thing. There's lots of webcams under $100 that are 4K, 1080p. That's all you need. Just, you don't want to be looking something with a bad frame rate and something that's like 720p. You want a decent, dedicated camera. Anything that has a good amount of reviews. You can watch tons of YouTube videos on how the camera actually looks. It just needs to be clear and it just needs to not be choppy video. Again, you don't need the highest quality, like you're trying to make YouTube videos or movie quality image. You just need clear, crisp imagery, and you can get that from a lot of different budget cameras. So all is this to say, don't try to get away with just using the built-in camera on your laptop. get a dedicated camera for your computer. Same thing with the microphone. Microphone, even more important than the camera in a lot of cases. If you're choppy, if you don't sound good, if you have a lot of noise and stuff like that in the background, it's not going to showcase well in your interviews, and it's not going to showcase well to prospects if you even make it that far with the worst microphone. So you want to get a dedicated microphone. It's not enough to just have like AirPods and use in the built-in headphones. You don't want to do that. You want to have, like, you can get a cheap $20, $30, $50 lavalier that plugs into your computer. You can get a wireless mic. You don't have to get something like this. You can get something for $50 to $100 or less that performs really, really well. Rode has a lot of good mics. Amazon, you can find tons of things. Again, go through reviews, watch YouTube videos about the most budget and cheapest stuff. Just don't use the built-in laptop microphone, not for recording intro videos, not for interviews, and not for performing on roles. Now, when it comes to your background and your overall setup, you don't need like a whole office. You don't need a bookshelf. You don't need all this stuff and a plant in the corner, right? You just need a blank wall. If you do have a shelf or bookshelf or whatever, again, there's lots of ways to make your room look aesthetic. You just don't want to use a blurry background. Business owners on interviews don't like blurry backgrounds. Prospects on calls don't like blurry backgrounds. A lot of times it indicates that you have something to hide. You should be able to show your full real environment. Don't use virtual backgrounds at all. Don't blur it out. You don't need to do green screen, none of that. Just use your normal background. If all you've got is a window, that's fine. If all you've got is a blank wall, that's totally, totally fine. It should just look like you have a dedicated space for where you have these conversations. Dedicated space meaning you're not in your living room necessarily. And if you are in your living room, it's clear that you're at a desk, you're at a setup. You're not in your kitchen, you're not in your bedroom. If you are in your bedroom, just make sure the bed is out of frame, right? When it comes to backgrounds, you know, I've been there. I used to take sales calls in the basement at my parents' house. I used to take sales calls in my bedroom. And all you have to really do is control what's in frame. So because I had my bed, I had like dirty laundry in the corner sometimes, all I would do was, you know, tighten the shot a little bit and angle it just enough to where what was actually being seen on camera looked professional enough, looked like an office-like setup. It was just a blank wall and I had a whiteboard and I just like propped it up on a desk and I wrote some stuff on it. And it looked professional enough. I had like a calendar in the whiteboard, all that. It looked good enough, right? And it was just enough space that it was only what was shown on camera. If the camera was literally inched 2-3 inches to the left, you would see my bed. 2-3 inches to the right, you would see my dresser and some clothes on it. You'd see my hamper, all that stuff. It was in my parents' house, in my bedroom, but I made it work with what I had. That's all you got to do. Fit it on camera. You don't got to go get some office space. You don't got to find some new place. Just, even if you've got a blank wall, turn your desk setup so that it's a couple feet off the wall and go sit behind your desk so that it's facing the wall and not facing out into your living room and all that. You can use a living room if you're smart with it. Maybe just do like a floating desk thing. When it comes to lighting, that's also very, very important. I see reps all the time that are just getting started. Their room looks dark. It looks orange or yellow, which a lot of standard lights just come like that. For this office here, I actually swapped out the light bulbs from how this house came, and I put in my own white light bulbs. And I also, from Amazon, I don't know if I'm able to pull this up, but I grabbed these. These are like, some of them are $10, $15. You know, they're very cheap lights that you can get off Amazon. I think this one I got years ago off Wish, actually. There's lots of, Temu's a new thing. I've never bought anything off Temu, but I'm sure you can get tons of this stuff off Temu. Very, very cheap budget stuff. I can't remember where I got this one from. This is another one that I have. You know, these things, they can be orange, they can be blue, whatever. White light is always going to be your best friend. When it comes to these things, I find white light just looks the best. It looks the most professional, at least for me when I'm looking at my videos and stuff like that, and when I'm looking at myself on camera. So you definitely want some kind of budget lighting system. All in all, I mean, there's even like for backgrounds, I'll switch back to that for a second. For backgrounds, I've even seen people that, they just didn't have a choice but to be in an area that wasn't very favorable, but there was like $50 to $100, sometimes cheaper, like those office dividers that you can get. That you can put behind you, just so again it just made it look like a wall. It was like an office divider, the same thing they use for cubicles in a lot of offices. You can just get a couple of those, put it behind you. They're not, some of them are really wide, some of them are not so wide, but what you could do is again tighten the shot so that like the divider just fits within, it's just outside. Like my camera's pretty wide, but you can have it like here, right? And have the camera cut off here. You don't need a ton of space. Just don't be like a floating head, obviously, and you're good to go. And then the stable Wi-Fi connection. Get as good Wi-Fi as you can. You're going to need Wi-Fi that doesn't cut out. I had Wi-Fi that was bad in the past, and I would be on calls with my dinky room and my camera angles nice and tight so that it didn't show anything bad. And I was on with business owners doing multiple seven figures, trying to sell them marketing services. And I'd have my Wi-Fi cut out mid-call. And there's some deals that I just lost because of that. So you want to make sure that your Wi-Fi is stable. If you're in a house with other people, maybe your working hours or the times that you get on calls, let people know, don't mess with the Wi-Fi, don't unplug it, don't reset it. I remember I had my parents, presumably more so my dad, he would just reset the Wi-Fi randomly when I was on sales calls. And again, I lost some deals because of that. So, maybe have a discussion with your family or whoever it is you live with. If you're younger, if you're older, obviously you don't need to worry about these things. But make sure that your Wi-Fi is stable enough to that you're not going to be chipping in and out. You're not going to be cutting in and out. Your Wi-Fi is going to be very, very, very important, because sometimes you not only need to be on call, but sometimes you need to share screen at the same time. Sometimes you're going to need to showcase, like if you're doing more SaaS stuff, you might need to showcase product demos, stuff like that, go through slide decks. So you need Wi-Fi that's capable to handle the streaming and a few other things as well that might be connected to it at the same time, right? If you don't have in the budget to, grab a camera, if you're looking around wherever you are in the world and maybe they're just a little bit more expensive or out of your budget range, if you do have like an iPhone, I've never had an Android, so I'm not sure about what they do with this. I'm pretty sure you could probably do it off an Android as well, but you can use your iPhone as a webcam. You can kind of just prop it up. I've seen lots of people, definitely don't do portrait, do landscape. I've seen people prop up their iPhone camera. These cameras are pretty good. And you can prop them up and use them as a webcam on your calls. There's even like a lot of Amazon clips and stuff like that, where they'll make like a holder clip that'll allow you to clip the iPhone and clip it to the top of your laptop, and it'll literally sit right on top like a webcam. And you can just use your iPhone as a webcam if you don't have anything better. Definitely go out and grab a mic though, if you do go that route, and you'll be good to go. The only other thing I'd say is make sure that it's level with your face. So you see how my camera, it's like my eyes are looking directly into the camera. It's level with my face. I see people over and over and over again get on calls and their laptop, just by nature of where it's set up at their desk, it's lower than they are. So they're like over looking down, or they might have a camera that's really high and then they're looking up. It just looks really, really weird on camera when you do that. Make sure your setup, your camera is level. If you are using something that's directly in line with your laptop, put some books under it so that it's level with you. When you're on meetings, you're not really going to be using your laptop much anyways. You're just going to be having a conversation. So it should be okay to just prop it up on a couple books. And that way it's in line with your eyesight and you can have conversations where you're looking directly at people, and that makes it a lot easier. But realistically, that's really all you need when it comes to setup. And the most important aspect of this is landing the first offer, because once you get an offer, you've used your setup on some calls. Every now and then you might be able to take a call from somewhere else. You might, let's say you're on you're traveling, you're taking calls from a hotel, you're taking calls. That's totally fine, but it's going to be difficult to land your first offer with an intro video that doesn't showcase that you have good camera, good mic, all of these things. And a lot of these things can be bought so that they could travel with you. Like if I were to travel and I wanted to still take sales calls, I would bring the webcam and I would bring some kind of mic with me, so that if I did have to take calls from a hotel, at least my camera quality was good. Although you could see I'm in a hotel, it's not a big deal as long as my camera quality is still good and my microphone quality is still good. So you're going to want to make sure you have a camera, make sure you have a mic, make sure you have a decent location that you're consistently taking calls from, that looks as close to an office setup as possible, and a stable Wi-Fi connection. Other than that, you don't need much else equipment wise. You don't need a whole bunch of stuff. It's just these basic things that will last you years and years and years. And you can choose to upgrade if you want to in the future. But again, go for the budget stuff, watch some YouTube reviews, find things that are within your budget that you can grab before you start recording intro videos, before you start showing up to interviews. This will make a massive, massive difference for how many interviews you land and how many offers you land. I can't tell you how many times recruiters and business owners tell me that they skip over people in seconds simply because of their camera quality as soon as they open that intro video. What you say cannot save you from bad video and bad audio. I promise you, you're going to need it. So go out, grab it. Hopefully that helps. I'll see you in the next video.